Hi everybody, this is a tutorial on how to thread your machine for all of the Brother PE770 newbies. And I'd also like to explain why on some of these machines they appear to not like certain brands of thread, which can cause shredding, broken needles, and knots in your final stitch out. So first, before we actually thread the machine, I'd like to review the different types of spools that you might find or that you might already have. And there are some problems and issues with each one, and some little fun facts that I found out when I was using different types of spools. So first we have these little mini spools right here. Now, one issue or problem with these are the little plastic discs right in here. When you use these type of spools, these are meant to lay down in the machine. You have to make sure that these little plastic discs are on the bottom side. That way, as the spool unwinds, it'll unwind against the smooth end. So this would be the bottom, and this would be the top side, like this. The next one I would consider, I'm going to say, a medium-sized spool. Now these spools right here have a little nick right here on the edge that holds your thread in place. One problem with these is that as the thread comes off the spool, it can catch on that nick, and that will cause a broken needle. See that? So when you're using these type of spools here, you'll also want to make sure that this end with the nick on it is in this down position. That way the thread can come off the spool on the smooth end. Now we also have these larger spools, and the thread catcher on these, there's a little disc in here that will help catch your thread. Now there is one little spot right here. Let me try to zoom in a little bit. Right here, there's a little piece of plastic. When you buy new spools of thread, you'll want to look for those. Now a nail file will easily remove those. Now this little nick right here in the plastic is probably not enough to break a needle, but it could cause a little bit of issue in your final stitch out, making a few loops and things like that that are not desirable. So you'll want to take a little nail file and file those off. These type of spools are also meant to lay down on this peg right here. However, I found that sometimes these spools are wound really tight, and no matter what I do, the thread wants to catch a little bit, because it's wound so tight and it's a little bit sticky. So what I do in this case, if I have a spool that's wound real tight like this and my machine doesn't like it, I just transfer that thread right over to a bobbin. And what I'll do is I will use this or this. Just put your bobbin right on here, and you can use it just like a regular spool, and you can just thread it from here. That seems to work well also. Now the next type is the extra large spools right here. These type of spools are not meant to lay down. They're actually meant to stand up so that the thread comes off this way. So what I recommend, and what a lot of people recommend, is that you either get a thread stand, or if you don't have a thread stand, you can use a cup and set that in front of your machine. And let me back up here a little bit and I'll show you what I use. I'm just going to zoom in. I use a heavy napkin ring. This is metal and it's weighted, and it allows the thread just to come off of here really easily. The other thing that I use, because I don't have a thread stand, is I kind of have a makeshift one that I made myself. I'll zoom in on that for you as well. This I made out of a pipe cleaner, and this was not my idea. I actually got this from someone else on a Facebook page, but it works really well. And what I do is there's a little hook I've made out of the pipe cleaner right here, and I find that the fibers on the pipe cleaner cause just enough tension to straighten out the fabric, the thread, before it gets to that number one position. So I just take this and thread it through here like this. And now I always hold it with two hands. I go to number one. Now I like to keep tension on this because we want that thread to go in the thread discs at number 4 and 5. So I always keep a little bit of tension on there. And then when we get down here to number 6, that's the one we don't want to miss. I'm going to zoom in on that a little bit. And that one is right here above the needle, this little hook. So I take this and I hook that. I use two hands to hook that in, like this. And then I go to number 7 and I cut my string off, and I use that automatic needle threader. Now, from what I understand, some people have problems with that needle threader because of the vibration of the machine. Over time, some of these pieces will start to come loose. And I learned this on another YouTube video. Every once in a while, it's good just to push that up in there to make sure that's not coming out. Now you'll notice after you use that automatic needle threader, there's going to be a little loop. You'll want to get your little skewer. And this is just like a wooden kebab skewer that I use. So we take this, and I always pull the thread out just a little bit, and we're going to put that right down through this hole right here. I know some people skip that step. I don't. I like to be able to trim that first stitch with my scissors. So I always hold it over the first couple stitches while I'm doing the stitch out. That way I can trim it easily, and that first stitch, that extra thread is gone. But you can see, let me zoom back out again. You can see how easily, using this cup right here and using this pipe cleaner, you can see how easily that thread's coming off the spool. Okay, so we're not causing any tension on that thread at all. It's coming off very easily. Now, if you try this at home and you have any like catches, or your thread seems to not be free, you'll want to look at your spool and try to find out where that catch is happening. So that's how you thread your machine. And one last thing I wanted to leave you with was there's these tension discs in here. You'll want to make sure to try to keep them clean. So one good thing to do is when you're done stitching out your project, instead of grabbing your thread and letting the whole thing pull out backwards, it's better just to snip it right here and pull your thread out forward. Thanks for watching.